and I'm holding. The question is, when would I be selling? More so, really, other than when would I be buying? Right? I already bought. The question is, when do I sell? So I don't see a situation where I would want to recirculate Bitcoin into the fiat money world. Because I don't want to give the fiat money any power. I don't want to give the politicians who run fiat money or the central bankers any power. I'm trying to starve them to death.
Explain that to me, though. Well, so if by selling your Bitcoin, how does that give fiat more power?
Well, let's say I were to buy a yacht, right? Okay, so I'm giving the yacht broker Bitcoin. He's going to convert it into fiat money, most probably.
Okay.
So until we get into a situation like Bitcoin Beach, which is in El Salvador, which is a circular Bitcoin-only economy. There's only Bitcoin, and it's circulating only. Right. So when we hit a global inflection point where it's a global hyper Bitcoinization, where essentially fiat money's been destroyed completely from the system, I would feel more comfortable coming out of Bitcoin into fiat. My goal has always been, going back to 20 years with Max and Stacy, doing all of our shows for 20 years now almost. It's always been to attack the central banks and fiat money. So, Bitcoin is the perfect tool and weapon in that sense. So the war continues. So I'm on this side of the divide of this global war. I represent those who are looking to not necessarily compete with central banks. We're looking to destroy central banks, because they are the root of all of the problems of inequality, all the problems of the environment, all the problems of over-militarization. Pretty much everything that you can put your finger at and say, this stinks. It has a root cause in money printing from irresponsible central banks that, unlike Paul Volcker in the 1970s, when I started on Wall Street, interest rates were 20%, because Paul Volcker took his job seriously of dealing with inflation. Here you have inflation right now, Daniela, in America, which is about similar to where it was under Paul Volcker when he took interest rates to 20%. And they're quibbling about whether they should raise it, up to 2.5% or something like that. Or
isn't that interesting, right?
Yeah, it shows you the power of quantitative easing. It shows you the power of changing the mandate of the central bank from being lender of last resort to the buyer of first order, where they simply buy everything that Wall Street produces. The Swiss Bank of Switzerland is, one of the biggest owners of Apple stock. They print money and they buy Apple stock. Right? That's not a central bank. That's neo-fascism. That doesn't make any sense to be doing that. What good does that do to the people who live in Switzerland?
No, please continue.
Right. So here you have this in Japan, the balance sheet of Japan, over 100%, something like GDP of Japanese GDP is owned in securities on the balance sheet of the Bank of Japan, right? I may have gotten the number a little wrong there, but I don't think I got it wrong. I think that was correct. But my point is that here they're just absorbing all of these things in ways that are dislocating the markets. Look at the housing market in the U.S. It's up 25% last year because Blackstone is out there borrowing money from the Fed at zero and buying up thousands of units.
Right.
And then jacking up rents. That's not a free market. That's not a price signal. That's an apartheid state. That's apartheid. That's what apartheid in South Africa looked like. In America, you've got interest rate apartheid, right? If I know Goldman Sachs and I can borrow at 0%, I can look at this. I'll tell you a story which was remarkable. The LVMH, Louis Vuitton in France, they bought Tiffany. Who loaned them the money to buy Tiffany? The European Central Bank under Christine Lagarde. And how much did they charge for that loan? Not zero, less than zero. Less than zero. It was given to the now richest man in the world to buy Tiffany's. So all the earnings, bam, accretive, right to the bottom line. And didn't cost him a penny. How much did Whole Foods cost Jeff Bezos? Well, his cost of money was zero. It didn't cost him anything. So if you have a group of industrialists who are borrowing money at zero to buy up huge swathes of the productive economy and keeping it for themselves, that's not capitalism. That's not democracy. That's fascism.